is getting Colorado ready for their season opener. He shared some of the challenges he's already faced since taking over the program. Sanders telling our Joel Klatt that Colorado was, quote, a mess. He's had to challenge players to get rid of what he calls, quote, foolishness and junk. Deion also says he doesn't want to win only a few more games than last year, but, quote, I want it all and I want it now. That sounds like prime, right? Shannon, will Colorado be able to back up what Deion is saying?
Probably not in the first couple of years, Skip. It's going to take some time.
2 years. Wow.
Yeah, at least 2 to 3 years, Skip, because, look, this is if you look at the teams that win, what do they have? O-line and D-line. Look at Georgia. How did they dominate? Alabama was winning. How did they dominate? Ohio State. They had the Bosa brothers. They had Chase Young. You see what it takes. O-line and D-line. I think the skill position, I think they can be okay with the skill position players. And we know Alabama and Ohio State and these teams have great skill. But if you want to win championships, the O-line and D-line must be in place. Now, he's going to take some time for him to get his type of player.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of players that were at Colorado is not his type of player. But he's one of the few great players that I know that can coach because he can see the players not in of himself.
Yeah.
Because that's the hardest thing, Skip. It's like he was so good, he was great, and you automatically think everybody else can do that. No, they can't. But he's always wanted to coach. As long as I've known him, he's been coaching. He coached his sons. He got the college job at Jackson State. He parlayed that into CU. So this is all about getting the right O-lineman and D-lineman in there.
Yeah.
He get the number one destination for transfer kids, the number one transfer portal.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to take some time. And hopefully he's patient and the administration is patient with him.
Whew. I had the privilege of covering this man, and I love me some Neon Deion primetime Sanders. I love what he's pulling off because he's a rare human, to your point. He was by far the greatest cornerback who ever played this game. And it's just hard to translate that greatness into coaching.
Correct.
It's impossibly hard. I've seen just a very few. A lot tried it. Magic tried it, and it didn't work. Jerry West tried it didn't work.
Most of your best coaches didn't even coach or with terrible players.
Yeah, Larry Bird was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Was a real exception.
It burned him out because he's like, these young players, I
can't take it. Okay. This is a revolutionary human in a revolutionary time in college football because in years past, until just right now, Deion would have had no chance going to Colorado because he would have inherited a 1-11 squad and he'd have some freshman recruits, but they wouldn't be man enough to help, right? But all of a sudden, we have a thing called the transfer portal.
Yeah, you can get good in a hurry.
Okay, he brought in 46 players. He read the riot act to the 1-11 players and said, you better pack your bags.
He told me, remember that transfer portal, because y'all ain't going to be here.
You're not going to be here. 46 transfers, and the class was graded #1 in the nation, in part just because of its sheer magnitude of size.
Right.
He's brought in 46.
Right.
That's 10 from Jackson State, where he obviously coached, including his son to play quarterback. Another 17 recruits from high school, so they'll just be pure, true freshmen. And then 4 from JUCOs. It's impossible how he's going to be able to he's going to turn the roster inside out in the way no coach has ever been able to who took a job on the fly as a rebuild. Because the rebuild job, if you inherited a 1-11,
it's going to take a while.
You're stuck, man.
Yeah.
The first year, you're probably going to be 1-11 again. Because they're deadheaded recruits from the former coach who got fired because they weren't any good anyway.
And you got to trim the fat. You got to get all those bad seeds that's been growing in the locker room. You got to get those out of there. I went to Savannah State, and that was the thing was it took Coach Davis a while for us to get those guys out of there, get his guys in there, and then all of a sudden we had 2 of the best years that Savannah State's ever had. So it's not an easy task, Skip, but I just hope CU's administration is patient because this is not. He doesn't have Alabama. Doesn't have Alabama recruiting. He doesn't have Ohio State recruiting. It's going to take some time for him to get the level of defensive line. Skip, they were the worst defensive rush defense in all of football.
I got it.
There's 119, 120 D1 teams that play football. They were dead last. So that shows you what they need. You got Skip. You can have all the quarterbacks you want. You can have all the running backs you want. But if you ain't got those big dogs to block, We saw Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl against Tampa. As great as he is, he's running for his life, wasn't he? If we see those guys, no matter how great the running back with the deep offensive line getting whipped, running back is not going anywhere. So he's going to need somebody to protect his son so he can find those talented receivers that he has. And he's going to have somebody to stop those guys from running the football on
So I love the anecdote that Deion told Joel Klatt about. He read the riot act to the big group of players, most of them from last year. Then they break into position groups, and he goes into one of the position group meetings, and they're playing music. And he says, I go into this room, and music is playing? I said, excuse me, what is this? Coach, we always bring the boombox into our position meeting room. And Deion says, have you lost your mind? If you ever bring music into one of my meetings again, I promise you, that we will never see each other again in this lifetime. Like that's pure prime, right?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, bringing music in a meeting room. Normally you reserve that like, okay, you're in the open locker room or something like that. Give you got free time.
This is 111 speaking, right? And he said, I just told them that you're not going to be here very long, and then they go do that. Well, they're not going to be here. He said, I told them, this is not the group I'm taking to Fort Worth because they're going to open TCU. On Fox against TCU. So in the end, Joel Klatt asked Deion, do you really think you can compete with TCU? He says, I don't think I know. Well, is it just big talk from a former great player? I think he believes they will be competitive.
Well, the thing, we're about to find out. We're about to find out. But like I said, I think it's going to take him. I think if he's patient, because I think it's going to take a little bit more time than he realized. I don't think he's going to have the turnaround that he had at Jackson State. Because that was really a quick fix, Skip. I don't think he's going to have that.
It is the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And TCU's no slap.
They just went for the.
They just went to the next.
Oh, they got the brakes beat off them, but they did go.
They went.
Yeah. And I'm sure they brought some of those guys back.
It makes it fun to watch, that's for sure. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.